hell of a foundation there to put something on that could be pretty nice, actually. Supposed to be able to cut basically unlimited lengths of logs. But Frank can't cut more than 14 feet. This is about the max right here that he can put on his sawmill. He's told me before.
Yeah.
Because of his carriage. But there's a sawmill at Newby Creek. I haven't ever seen it. The guy's got, I think, a bandsaw instead of a circular saw like Frank's got. And I'm sure the last one's going to be fine too. But it's only the back one that takes the most.
You have to darken the line?
I do, to make sure that I don't lose it while I'm, because sawdust is all over the place.
That chalk doesn't stick like lead, huh?
Doesn't show up like this kind of dark black line. All I got is this red chalk.
Yeah.
I'm about out of chalk, but all I got is this red, and I don't have any blue. I don't have a dark color that's really showing up good on this wood. When I get sawdust and everything on here, I got better to just make sure I can see it, and I'll get a better cut. I just don't have any longer straight edge to do this with than this little 2 foot hanger. This ain't even 2 feet, 18 inches or something. I was going to break for lunch after I got done marking this out before I cut. Well, you must have drove all the way to the cabin.
Yeah.
So
Did you hear me coming in?
No, I didn't. I thought I heard a truck kind of a while ago, just briefly, and I thought I don't care. Pretty quiet, mellow day. As long as there ain't a lot of traffic down through there. I'm hoping the Forest Service hasn't been trying to cruise, but I'm thinking as of Monday they might drive this side. They're anxious to get into the woods. They have been waiting for the roads to clear. And, but they're doing a burn somewhere. Aren't they doing a burn up Canyon Creek or something?
Oh, they did that last year. You think they got more to burn up there?
I thought maybe did they burn up Canyon Creek last year?
Yeah, they went in with helicopters and fireballs and the whole bit.
No shit. Okay. I thought that had kind of gotten canceled or something because of the fire season starting, and they couldn't. They had to cut short their burning season. There was a few places they didn't get to because they had to take all their crews and go fight fires. And maybe that was the year before. All right, that's ready for the first slab. And I don't mark the next ones until...
Oh, you don't mark it till you cut?
I got to cut these off, and then I'll have 2 flat places, and I got to pop a line off the top of this one and off the top of that one. These 2 edges of the beam next. This is the top of the beam coming off and the bottom of the beam. I decided on that first one there, it made things way too long if I didn't do it this way, but I'll be cutting off an even 9-inch piece. This piece right here is one slab. And over there, see, there's that crack.
Yeah.
See, I'll miss it. But it's just in this slab right here. Middle of the beam to be. And I came a little bit off center because of the way there's more wood over here on this side than there is on that side on this one, and shifted a little bit down to center it more in the tree this way. But what I did was hold the level on here at the spot where I wanted it through until I got it level. Well, it's out now because it's moved. The logs rolled.
Will the ends still match up?
And I drew this down line, and then I turned it sideways and set it level where I wanted it, and drew the middle cross line, and then I drew the box off of these 2 lines. I measured off the lines, and I measured off of this line, and then I checked the square on it and all. But it's like I started with this crosshatch, because when I get the planing and all, I want to know where I started to lay the whole log out from. You know, I might lose these lines to the chainsaw when I'm cutting, but I'll have this crosshatch there. And
You use those later then.
Yeah.
And you did that on both sides, but you couldn't have the log turn before you did both
Yeah, the
ends.
log's got to not move while I'm doing it, because if I'm using the level here, when I go to the other end of the log and use the level, I'm getting a straight, clear plane through the log. And the same here, when I do this level, I go to the other side and it gives me a straight, clean plane through the log. And that's why once I get this crosshatch done, I can do the rest of these without the level. I can just draw a box around it. But that means that I'm going to connect to the other side. You know, they're both at the same angle because I use the level to do it, and the level works the same on that end of the log as it does on this end of the log. And that's the way it's, that gives me the control that this end and the butt and the other end match up with each other when I cut through. And that's why I pop the line to connect the cut right here all the way to the other side. Okay, I'm okay with that. Hopefully these blocks hold good enough. The weight of the saw holds good enough while I'm sawing, not to move too far out of the way on me. Always stop. If it starts to move around on me, I stop. Looks pretty good for taking my saw. A little tilted. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
You wear hearing protection?
Yeah. Yeah. Chainsaw really mess up your hearing if you do it all the time. Too noisy. The saw is a bitch to start the first time when it's cold, so I just use starting fluid with it. Starts after that.
In the gas tank?
Huh?
You put starting fluid in the gas tank?
No, the air breather's right here.
Oh.
my tool here. I gotta go back and get my. Make sure the other side's, I get a look at it before I get too far going down. I want to see where it is on the other side. Oh, I'm way off the line here. What the hell? Oh shit. Yeah, I gotta clean that up now. This one's good. Yeah. make sure I get things straightened out a little bit before I go too far. Oh, I didn't even put them in. Yeah, this guy was going a little crazy on me. I had to get this one straightened up. At least I went off to the bad side, but you can see where I'm missing. Damn, I'm going way off right here. Shit. Oh well. Well, I need to... Might have them all straightened up again. Yeah, this one's already feeling light, man. I could lift that pretty easy. one, cut them off this time. Main beam, and I made the beam a 1/2 inch bigger than I thought would be necessary all the way around, so it's extra big. But yeah, I had trouble keeping a good line. Maybe I was in too much of a hurry. I'm not used to being on camera, man. It's the camera crew. Good thing you didn't have topless directors or something around here, women that I'd have to be distracted with. Gotta catch my string. Keep my string from falling right, popping right, so I take the time to get them out of the way. A hard piece of wood right there. Take them right back out. A lot of chalk. It actually showed up good enough and stayed there while I did it the other day. But it shows up on this light cut part. Now, oh, it's getting lighter already, man. This thing's not feeling bad. From this side first, after this line's in there. Didn't do my little burrs, but it looks like it's okay. I had to eat both of those sandwiches, Tristan.
Yeah.
All right.
That looks pretty good.
It'll work. It'll work fine. Just a little bit of cleaning up with the planer, it'll look dynamite.
How long will it take to hand plane it?
Actually, not too long, probably. I usually sit there. It's like real relaxing. I just get into it, look down it, check it out, look for anything, and take the square along there and check it. But I don't know, maybe an hour really. I'll probably do it once over in an hour. Some of them just, it doesn't take long to just kind of go down there, and I just knock the high points off first. All the high points. Then you look at it, it looks different real quick. Just brushing off some of the odd places, smoothing them out. And it looks real good real quick. So it don't take too long, really.
I think it looks pretty good with the rough cut, really.
Well, there'll be some rough cut that'll stay, but yeah, it just needs to be done though. Oh man. Well, lock and keep the moisture in.
Keep the moisture in the wood by oiling it?
Yeah, it seals it on the outside and keeps it moist. It's real dry.
I thought you wanted wood to be dry. It gets brittle, huh?
You got to keep some moisture to it. If it gets too dry, it gets brittle. It gets what they call dry rot. Starts cracking and checking a lot, you know, getting splits in the wood. It's shrinking. If these guys were green, man, they'd be, even these outer slabs would be warping more, where that inside part is drying faster than this outer part, and the outer part's kind of sealed a little better. These are 14 feet, another 6 feet. If they were 20 feet, that'd be a good width for a cabin. Actually, 14 feet, 16 feet wide enough for me that I think I like the 14 feet, that cabin down there. Just needs to have a second floor on it. Got a second floor on that cabin, I'd have a bedroom upstairs.
Yeah, my cabin's pretty small without a second floor.
Yeah, it's like that's the only thing that makes sense is to have the bedroom upstairs. The heat rises up there anyway at night.
Think my ceiling's tall enough? It's not, is it?
No, it's not. You'd have to raise the roof.
That'd be a pain. The walls and the braces on the side are all one piece.
Yeah,
You couldn't really do nothing without destroying the cabin, I bet.
Actually, the idea would be better to build a cabin from scratch. You know, it's like try to deal with a place that exists and it's already got lots of problems and things. But if you had the means, it'd be looking to get another piece of property maybe and buying it and building you your own little cabin, and then you'd have that as a guest cabin or a rental.
It'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, even if there wasn't any building goes, you'd do one right out there in the brush. You know, a little cabin, but build it up, lifting it above all this stuff. You have a little nature hideaway out there, right? But it would be even better to have that property across the river from you, build one over there.
Yeah, I wonder if Gary Brown bought that.
I don't know. I haven't. That sign used to be on the other side of the river. That's where it was.
Yeah, I looked. I didn't see any sign anymore.
The sign's gone. It used to be 2 posts up, and it was about a 4x8 sheet of plywood.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in my years out here.
Well, it's been gone a while. It used to be there constantly. I never always looked at it. There's a little axe I forgot to take up there where it's supposed to go. Looks like it's about right at midpoint, man. It's like 7 feet in the truck and 7 feet hanging out. That came out pretty straight, you know. I like looking down at it, man, seeing it all nice and straight, man. If I was at a lumber yard, I'd pick it out and say, yeah, I'll take this one. All right, I'll ride back here.
Okay.